certainly the biggest shocker of the draft last night. They drafted a quarterback when they wanted one, not when they needed one.
Sounds familiar. Have I heard that in the quarterback rules that have been featured on ESPN.com twice?
No big deal. What did we make of this pick where the reigning MVP, inches away from the Super Bowl, is now joined in a QB room, that of course is Matthew Stafford, joined in a QB room by Ty Simpson?
Well, it's the first time since the merger that a team has the reigning MVP and taking a quarterback in the first round. So the first thing that comes to mind to me is hedging. And for an organization whose moniker once upon a time was Bleep Them Picks, for them to hedge for the future, especially knowing that they're in the heart of their championship window, they were in the Final Four last year, is a little bit surprising. I will say this about Ty Simpson. This might be the second time in the history of the NFL draft where a player at the same position picked 13th overall has more pressure on him than the guy that was the number associated with this move for the Rams, because if you don't win a Super Bowl in the twilight of Matthew Stafford's career, then there'll always be the question of what could have been if you had gone a different direction with the 13th overall pick. There is huge pressure on Ty Simpson whenever he's put on the field to instantly produce.
He's Jordan Love. When Aaron Rodgers was upset because instead of getting him a weapon at a certain stage of his career, they went out and planned for the future. There was immediate pressure on Jordan Love to step in and be that guy, to prove the front office right. And Ty Simpson's going to have that at some point. I'm really conflicted on this pick because in the immediacy of it, I was like, that's smart. Matthew Stafford, he's 38. He's entering the last stage of his career. He's still playing at such a high level, and this is a team that's already built to compete for a championship, and they're using this moment to plan for the future. Smart. But then the other part of me is like, but if you know that Matthew Stafford is still playing at an MVP level, why aren't you going all in right now? You've done it already this offseason, shoring up your secondary. You've made moves that tell us that you're ready to win right now. Why not also do that in the draft? But we should have known this was coming. Adam Schefter was telling us this all along. He said that the Rams were interested in Ty Simpson, more so with that 29th pick that they then moved on from with that deal with Kansas City for Trent McDuffie. But in his amazing piece that ESPN.com and in his podcast leading up to the draft, he kept telling us about the Rams' interest in Ty Simpson. But all of us did not think that he was worthy of a pick that high, 13 overall, based on the variance from NFL evaluators about how ready he is at the NFL level.
A couple of things on this. Number one, you stumped me. I didn't want to look it up. Who was the other one? 13-1.
Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, the pressure?
Yeah. There's no world that Shedeur Sanders didn't have more pressure on him going into last season than Cam Ward.
Got. Oh, I thought you meant 13th overall. My bad. Okay.
No.
Now.
Just a quarterback like at the same
right.
position.
Oh, okay. My fault.
Same position. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I don't like this pick. I love this pick. I love it. And here's the thing. When you say the Rams are going all in, can they go all in by drafting 13, or is all in using 13 to get an established player? Right? Like, I never heard them for Dexter Lawrence. I don't even know if they need Dexter Lawrence now with the Bengals, formerly the Giants.
No, they don't.
Theoretically, to me, that's going all in. Drafting a guy, regardless of position on a rookie scale contract, is not all in. That's like, what they did in the 29th pick, trading it to Kansas City. That's all in. I love this pick so much. You don't have a team if you don't have a quarterback, and you don't have a quarterback if your team's not ready for a quarterback. The Rams are ready for a quarterback, hence why Stafford is what he is. And this young man sitting with Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford knew about this. This was not a surprise to him. Sitting with Matthew Stafford for a couple of years here, I think is an absolute home run. What the Rams did last night was phenomenal in my mind, and I don't think that they have any worse chance of winning the Super Bowl this year because of it. And I don't know that I would have sat there and said, wow, if they get any of the players drafted around 13, if all of a sudden they took the offensive lineman from Penn State or the offensive lineman Caden Proctor from Alabama, who was the pick before and after, if they had those guys, they have a much better chance of winning it all. Not for me, no. I absolutely love this pick. This man will not have to play for years to come, and he's going to learn from right now, the reigning MVP.
Well, we think he won't have to play for years to come. We don't know, right? There's always the health question with Matt Stafford, and then we also have to acknowledge that he's in the last year of his deal. So it got really contentious. Last offseason, it was a problem. So maybe the Ty Simpson pick is a hedge in a couple of different ways for whenever Matt Stafford walks away, but also if Matt Stafford is asking for more money than the Rams want to pay because of his age. So I do think it's fascinating to see what the timeline is ultimately going to be in terms of when Ty Simpson is going to touch grass.
There's a lot more with what you just said. We need to continue this conversation because there's also the reaction.
Yeah, you love the pick. Did Sean McVay love it?
Well, good one, Smalls, because that is the question moving forward. Who cares if I loved it? The coach, did he love it? We will get to that and what CeCe just said about what this means for Stafford relative to contract and whether or not they give him something new moving.
We all identified the moment of the draft last night when Jordan Tyson gets drafted to the New Orleans Saints, and on his way out to the stage to hug the commissioner, he takes a knee and he starts crying and he wells up. You see the tears in his eyes. I don't know how you could see that moment and not instantly become a Jordan Tyson fan and root for that kid to have wild success down in New Orleans.
Absolutely. You could see how much it meant to him watching his dream realized last night. And that's one of those things that you take away from the NFL draft. We don't know how these players are going to translate at the NFL level. We don't know what the next chapter of their career is going to be, but we know that there was a dream realized for them and their families last night. And it never ceases to amaze me being there and watching them walk across that stage to hug the commissioner, how special that is. It's really cool that we get to be there and witness it last night. And we kept saying, guys, that with a draft that was very top heavy and a lot of parity in those middle first round picks, we didn't know if there was going to be any excitement. And there was a lot of movement last night, some surprises, a good draft overall.
Yeah, I would say that number 2, we knew with the Jets was going to be one of 2 guys, David Bailey or Arvell Reese, edge rushers, Texas Tech and Ohio State respectively. The Jets do go with Bailey, so I don't think anybody was shocked by that, even though Reese came in somewhat as a favorite by way of DraftKings. We all said the draft started at 3, so let's go there. The Arizona Cardinals, could they trade the pick? Oh, wow. It seems like running back out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love, was going to be slotted there. But who was he going to be slotted to? As the draft ends, CeCe, Jeremiah Love, Arizona Cardinals, no trade, straight up. He's their pick, and he's their pick without Ty Simpson, who we'll get to because we know that was a huge story last night. What was your thought process, and did you like that pick, Jeremiah Love to Arizona?
I like it for Arizona. I hate it for Jeremiah Love. He's going to be running into a brick wall. The offensive line still needs some work. The defense is a work in progress, and they don't know who their quarterback is going to be for the future or for the here and now. So I think that it's going to be a slog for Jeremiah Love in order to get things turned around in Arizona. Now, character-wise, it's exactly what you want. I think he's a program builder. I understand why Mike LaFleur went that direction, first-time head coach, wanting to put his stamp on what his program is going to be overall. If you give your seal of approval on the direction of the team by drafting Jeremiah Love, it's a good start, but they just need so much, and it feels like running back is more of a finishing piece as opposed to a piece that you start a rebuild with.
All right, so that was 3. The draft starts there. The first big surprise last night, number 4 overall, Smalls, you are a Cam Ward super fan. You believe in him. You believe he can lead them to the playoffs. You believe he can lead them to huge heights in Tennessee. Well, they went out there and got him a weapon, and I think everyone was surprised by who they got. Carnell Tate at 4, Ohio State wide receiver. He was probably the second best wide receiver at his own college team. Now, that's a little bit drastic because the guy they have next to him may be an all-time great one day in Jeremiah Smith, but never had a 1,000-yard season, never had a 10-touchdown season, never had more than 52 receptions as a college player. I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm saying that's why it was a big surprise. Were you surprised when the Titans took him number 4 overall?
No, because they wanted to get a weapon for Cam Ward. A lot of people thought if the Arizona Cardinals weren't going to take Jeremiah Love, that you could write it in Sharpie that the Tennessee Titans would with the next pick at number 4. I like Carnell Tate. He's obviously a dynamic player. But to your point, Evan, he wasn't a number 1 guy on his own team in college. So how is he going to adjust to that role now in Tennessee? But I like that they are building around Cam Ward. They're giving him more to work with. So overall, I liked the pick because I want Cam Ward to have success and I want that offense to continue to build. Would have loved it to be Jeremiah Love for him because, as CeCe said, Arizona, sure, you can put Jeremiah Love on a billboard. How much success is he going to see without protection and without a quarterback? Whereas in Tennessee, they hopefully have their quarterback in Cam Ward. I think it would have been a much better fit for Jeremiah Love at 4, but I like where their heads were and the thought process behind adding Carnell Tate.
Yeah, they had to get a weapon for Cam Ward. If it wasn't going to be Jeremiah Love, then it had to be Carnell Tate. Polished route runner, willing participant in the run game, over 600 snaps in run blocking, not one holding penalty. So this guy puts his nose in there. He's not just a prima donna wide receiver, and I love that because with Rob Saleh, you're trying to establish a culture. And having a guy like Carnell Tate is a good place to start. Listen, you could do a lot worse than drafting an Ohio State receiver.
That's very true.
So if you look at the track record of those receivers from JSN to Emeka Egbuka, Garrett Wilson, you can go down the list. All of those guys are hella productive once they get to the National Football League. So I'm not worried about whether or not he can be a number one receiver if he wasn't a number one at Ohio State, because that program, the track record at that specific position, they've proven that those guys step up in class with competition and produce.
Excellent point. And you saw as soon as he got drafted, Brian Hartline, who was then their wide receivers coach / OC, now USF head coach, dap him up and all excited. And he's the guy that a lot of people look at with that along with Ryan Day. So it's an excellent point. Speaking of Ohio State, then we get to number 5. And we were sitting there in the Marriott Bonvoy Inner Circle last night as part of the draft, which was the coolest thing ever. We were like right there.
Yeah,
we had this private section that Marriott Bonvoy invited us to. So shout out to Marriott Bonvoy while we're talking about this, because what Marriott Bonvoy did for us last night was unreal.
Marriott for the win last night.
Oh my God.
That was great. That was great.
We had
I couldn't believe it though. It felt like I was living in the upside down, because I'm with Pat Costello and we're trying to get in after visiting the ESPN radio draft crew, and we've got a call of all people, Evan Cohen,
to get you in the club?
To get us into the club, to get us by the draft day stage. I felt some kind of way about it, Smalls.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together because I was with Evan to get in initially. I wasn't with you and Pat. Evan was the person to get the rope lifted and to get the wristbands on us.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the club, and it's Evan Cohen of all people that has to get me into the club.
But he delivered.
Think about that visual.
But he delivered in a big,
I'm trying
big
to get
way.
into one of the coolest clubs on NFL Draft Night, and of all people, Evan Cohen has to be the one to get me in.
And not only that, CC, he had a table. He had bottle service.
He had a table with bottle service.
Marriott Bonvoy.
And I got to take some dessert back home.
How was that pecan pie?
Oh, it was outstanding. Outstanding. A little bourbon drizzle on it.
Oh man, I'm
so
jealous.
good.
Just very
So
quickly
good.
to the point that you guys are making, and then we'll get to 5, because 5 was a huge part of this draft. So the draft, all the fans are there. The fans are amazing. Hundreds of thousands of people. Then there's the media section. But there's literally one quote-unquote cool section. It's like you're in